Version 13 of FSD, it is here. It is closer than you think. And are we reviewing it today? No, because I don't have it. Tesla AI does not give me the early builds. Once ever. Made a bunch of videos, never again. All right, well, fine. Let's talk about it. We're going to take you through version 11, the 12 dots, and then talk about 13. I'm Brian. Welcome to Future Ozza. So here's what's going on. On version 11, it was overfit for California. It worked great. You could find endless videos, hours long, of intervention-free drives. Suspiciously intervention-free, they were also hands-free at a time when that was not yet a thing. But we were not allowed to mention that. Any discussion of that was not received well. On version 11, once you got out of California, the mastery of the system fell off precipitously. It was bad. It was very bad. And so what are you going to do? In the place I live, it was downright dangerous. I've got some dogs barking at me here. Maybe you can see them in the distance. They don't approve. They don't approve of FSD. They like humans involved. But then again, some of their dietary choices are not to my liking. Not the point. So what we've got is version 11 outside of California. Kinda didn't work. It was, where I lived, very dangerous. Deadly even. It would panic. It would freak out. It would make illegal turns. It would do all kinds of goofy stuff that was not safe or reasonable or fun or comfortable. And if version 11 was all we got, I would not be using it. I would not be subscribed. Autopilot is plenty for highways back then. FSD on highways, much, much better than autopilot. If you've never tried autopilot, if you've never tried FSD, only autopilot, check it out. It's quite a difference. It does lane changes. It does them very well. Version 11, wet trash. Then version 12 came out, and it was a monumental step forward. Huge, very, very good. It handled things really well. In my little city, it started working. But I was warned by a viewer, Lex, if you're out there, this one's for you, that it doesn't work for him in Colorado. And I said, I'm coming to Colorado. Give me your route and I'll run it. And he said, yeah, no problem. Colorado. I said, well, that's not helpful. I rolled into Colorado on 12.1. By the time I left, I'd gotten 12.2. Very exciting. And it didn't work on either one. It had a lot of behaviors that were crazy and dangerous and not fun. If you're on the divided highway, screaming along 60 miles an hour, it would say, oh, look, an off-ramp, and jump onto it. Now, these aren't real off-ramps. It's more like a third lane that suddenly has a right turn at the very end of it. Jump into it. I'm not even taking that exit, but it's like, oh, my lane. I'll use this. I'll go 60 right up until I panic and can't get out. Dangerous. It would try to get me in the toll lanes, the HOV toll lanes, even though I've got navigation set to don't, even though I don't have a fast pass in Colorado or anywhere. It would do crazy stuff like that. Not good, not effective. Well, I'm on 12.563, and I'm very pleased with it. But now we're running up against hardware limitations, and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Now, you may have seen recently there is a picture up that shows that they've redesigned the rear camera housing. And I'll try to do this without showing you too much of my plate here. But the idea is this little guy, you see it? This little guy collects water. And when the car can't see out the back, it doesn't want to drive out the front as much. It also, the biggest one is this guy. These get occluded all the time. It is insane. If the road has any kind of spray at all, a light mist of rain, but spray from the trucks in front of you, these get occluded, car freaks out, doesn't know what to do. Can that be fixed with a bigger shroud here? Maybe. It does have this lip to try and redirect water off of it, and this line going back to try and pull it back that way. Does it work? Maybe. Not enough. Definitely not enough. But the biggest one is this guy right here. I've driven 300 miles today, and I have had 5 hard disengagements, the kind where the car flashes red, screams at you, take control immediately. And 3 of those were because of direct sunlight. I don't know if you know anything about our solar system. It's pretty good, 1 star, but it is powered by a big old nuclear furnace in the sky. It's quite a bit of ways away, but it works. It does a good job. Sometimes it shines. Now, I hadn't had problems with this in my experience because I live in the Northwest, and in the summer, the sun is very high very early. Never had an opportunity to drive into it. And in the winter, well, it kind of looks like this all the time. That's not great. But now that I'm driving, I'm almost to Oregon. I'm almost through Oregon to California. I've had patches of sun at dawn in my eyes. And while I can see 3 times the car absolutely lost its mind. How are we going to fix that with this housing? Can it be fixed? Is that something software can actually address? My answer to that would be no. The other 2 times were fog related. In one of them, it was pretty soupy. I guess I get it. But I was close enough to other vehicles. It could see the other vehicles. They're not freaking out. Why am I freaking out? Very frustrating. So if it can't drive in the fog, and it can't drive in the sunlight, and it can't drive in the damp, those could be hardware limitations. So now let's talk about version 13, more exciting. We've got, apparently, unpark and park, where you can just get in the car in a parking spot, hit navigation, tell it to go, and away it goes, and it will park on the other side. It'll get you all the way there and park. We've got a lot of gaps, and we're seeing them close one by one. Next one, of course, it's got to be able to read signs. It's got to stop trying to run no right on red signs. Those are often safety critical, but always ticket critical. And it's got to recognize emergency vehicles. Does it do that? Couldn't tell you, don't know. We'll find out in anywhere from a few days to a few months. Maybe. Tesla AI, if you're watching this, and I know you're not, maybe get me on early access so I can make videos that are actually relevant to the latest build. I'd love to. So version 13 is coming. It's coming soon, and it's good from all accounts. Are we going to get there with hardware 3, with hardware 4? I don't know. I've seen people saying, well, Elon promised hardware 3 won't do it. No, he didn't. That's not what he said. He said if. The question was if. The answer was if. If it doesn't work, we'll retrofit. I don't think that the hardware, the compute is the constraint. I'm not sure that the cameras would be the constraint. Cameras, not impossible to replace, not an ideal situation, but it could be done. But I think the compute would be sufficient. You have to know what it is, build it out to the highest spec, and then figure out what you can pare back to keep it working just fine. You can get doomed to play on a home pregnancy test. Yes, you can. Not well, but if you've got the home pregnancy test, maybe things aren't going the way you thought in the first place. So that's it. That's what I got for version 13. Nothing. Version 12 still works great, still love it. It is now something that I am happy to have. I will continue having it because it's that good. Also, I got to say, the supercharger network, it just works. If you've only road tripped EVs using non-superchargers, what a disaster that must be. You have my greatest sympathy. So I have not had that misfortune. I'm quite lucky. Lucky. I'm not lucky. I knew which car I was buying. So there's a lot of room to grow on all those fronts, but it is getting better. And as new models come out, they often have longer range. That means fewer stops. That means less time charging anyhow. So does this mean we're going to have full robo-taxi by the end of next year, in 1 year's time? I am still skeptical. I have heard end of next year enough times that it's truly playing the greatest hits. I don't think that's something I'm going to count on, I'm going to bank on, but I'll be very excited when it does finally come, and it will. It will. Guys, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? Leave it all in the comments below, and stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots when I get wherever I'm going. Yeah, I'm going to see the Cybercab in person and maybe talk to a couple of the engineers. Ooh.